And you have this week's question. And you have not told me what our question is going to be that we're going to answer on our weekend show.
Hold on a second. Hold on a minute. Let me find it.
Or do you?
I accidentally pressed the button, guys, that said let's go live too soon.
Are we going to come back in a minute?
No, this is
okay.
This is fine.
All right. Well, while Joe is thinking, I'll just say good morning to everybody. The good news is that I have coffee today. The bad news is that Joe does not, because in his fabulous new Texarkana mansion, they do not have a working coffee machine. So Joe is living large, but living sleepy today. And so we're going to give Joe a break, and I'm going to say, hi, Chris, how you doing? Yeah, everyone that's there, tell me, first of all, we're always making sure, because this system, I don't know how long I can get away with saying this is a new system, but are you with us on Twitter? Are you with us on YouTube? Are you with us on Facebook? Let us know where you're watching us. First of all, just because it's interesting, but also so that we know that the different streams are working. So Joe's functioning, but without coffee today, as you guys
a little bit. I have just a little bit. My coffee maker had smoke coming out the back. It was bad. But it was this cheap.
Oh, wow. That sounds dramatic. That's like a dramatic
it was not good
ending for a coffee machine to have smoke. Usually if a coffee machine doesn't work, it just doesn't go on. Yours was actually like dramatically smoking.
Made a little bit and then died. There's just, you can see.
So now we know, people, Joe has a new home. He's moved back to Texarkana, and we know what he needs for a housewarming gift. He needs a coffee machine. So if everyone out there can just send Joe coffee machines, we will have a little, I don't know, a little celebration when Joe gets coffee again. So everybody, if you were thinking of getting Joe a housewarming gift, he needs a new coffee maker. Yes.
Don't buy me one. Please don't buy me one.
But send him recommendations. Let's do that.
Like in the next hour, because I'm buying one now.
Yeah.
Because I can't do this.
So in the comments below, everybody, I want everyone to recommend for Joe your favorite coffee machine. It doesn't have to be the one you own. It could be the one you aspire to own. Like I have my eye on a very fancy hair dryer, but it's above my budget, so I don't have it. But you can recommend a coffee machine that may be above Joe's budget, but recommend your very favorite coffee machine immediately, because as soon as this is over, he's going to get it. So in the comments below, I want everyone to just, and if you can leave a link, well, leave a link so he can see it, but he's going to try to get it IRL because it really can't even wait for that Prime shipping.
Headed to Bed Bath & Beyond.
That's a new kind of PSA here on Money with Friends. Get Joe a coffee machine stat.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. I have an espresso.
That
I love. My husband's really into it. We
have a NetSuite for Monday.
Yes, Victor. I have my eye on the Dyson hairdryer. How did you know that? Oh my God. And I've wanted it for years, but it's like $400, Joe. Like I just can't, first of all, I don't know. Is it worth it? Do you know, Victor, is the hairdryer worth $400? I can't really process that amount of money for a hairdryer, but I look at it like right now, Sephora is having a sale, and I actually looked at it, and now I'm getting those, like, when they push something at you when you're online, when you looked at it and they know you want it, Victor, that's what they're doing to me. They're like taunting me with a Dyson hairdryer. But Victor, okay, so your wife has one, Victor. How much is your time and hair worth? Well, the question is it faster? Are you telling me my hair does not look like it has a $400 hairdryer? I don't know. What am I hearing from our money friends, Joe?
How come nobody asked me about a hairdryer?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not fair. Having a hairdryer with her, but not with me. Hairdryer conversation.
Well, it is technically on sale because Sephora is having a sale. So I actually looked at it and I put it in my basket, but I just can't bring myself to buy. It's 15% off, but I can't bring myself to buy it. I just think that it just seems like so much. 10 minutes a day. It is faster. I don't know. I mean, I guess if it lasts a long time and it saves you 10 minutes each day.
You just go with this look.
These are deep questions. Yes. I don't know.
Hey, so let me tell you.
Can we get back to the coffee maker, by the way? Keep leaving the coffee maker as we go.
You and I were
coffee maker
having a
ideas.
conversation about coming back to Texarkana. And I have to tell you something that is really cool, because you were talking about going back to community, and where you live is often about your community and your friends. And this was really neat. So last night we went to believe it or not, Texarkana has a symphony orchestra, and we went, and we walk in the front area, because it's just going to be a trio, and they're playing some Beethoven. And they had it so, every other pew of this church, where they have beautiful acoustics, fantastic place, but they every other row was marked off, so people were spread out, and it was a great event. But anyway, we walk in to give them our name for a registration, and we had two different people say, "The Saul-Sehys are back. We heard you're coming back." That's so exciting. But "we heard you're coming back" doesn't happen in a quote big city, but in this little town, apparently word travels fast. So then they kicked us out.
But don't forget, you are celebrities.
Yes, we very much are. Yeah, sure. Texarkana celebrities.
You are.
Dude, I am not waiting, man. I don't care how big the deal is. I need my coffee tomorrow. That does suck, by the way, that there are tons of deals on the way for, the whole Black Friday thing is coming.
But wait, the truth is, Joe, if you buy it and keep the receipt, many places will honor a price drop within 2 weeks. So you can go back, and they will sometimes adjust it.
Ugh. This coffee is horrible. All right, we ready to do this? Let's make a show, guys.
Wait, but you didn't tell me the question. All right, you're just going to surprise me with the question.
I slacked it to you.
You did?
I did.
How did I know? I was busy talking to our audience.
You were talking about drying your hair in 10 minutes.
Sorry, I was covering while you were doing all that important stuff. Let's see. Oh,
thanks, man. I'm barely in Texas again, though, Victor.
That's a doozy of a question. Oh, my goodness.
Barely there. We can do that one. That's good. Can you do that one?
I'll try.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it.
It's a good discussion. Okay. The weekend show. We're going to record the weekend show today. Weekend review next week. It's going to be great.
All right. Hold on. You're going to do more about the question, because I don't actually have that at the tip of my tongue, like exactly legally what the answer is. So,
like, what to do? I got it.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Welcome to the weekend show, where we look back at the... wait, what are we doing?
Well, I'm not recording yet.
Wait, you just said, let's do the show.
I did say, let's do the show, but I didn't. You jumped right in. Hold on. I haven't had coffee yet. All right, here we go. This is for Saturday. This is the weekend show. And we're live.
Hey, friends. Welcome to the weekend show, where we look back at the highlights of the week that was on Money with Friends and get you ready for the week to come. Plus, we're going to have a big question to answer. Anything you want to ask us, we answer. It is Saturday, November 7th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner, Bobby Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City.
And I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, host of the Stacking Benjamin Show, coming to you live from beautiful Texarkana, Texas.
Here on Money with Friends, every weekday, we share the latest headlines, why they matter, and specific ideas and advice for your financial advice with thought leaders from across the financial landscape. And on the weekends, we share the highlights, preview the week ahead, and answer your questions.
We had a great week, Bobby, this last week, and I can't wait to walk through it. And the next week we have another great week. And by the way, when I say we have a great week, the cool thing is that our shows didn't include 24/7 people at a map showing you how much stuff's been counted. We did none of that. We had a great week without it. We proved that we could be the one thing on air that did it without the map.
Yes, but did you watch that stuff during the week?
You kidding me? I watched it nonstop. Did you get sucked into it? I watched it nonstop.
Yeah.
Yes. Those people at the map are amazing.
Those of you, and they don't sleep, and I did not get much sleep. I have to tell you, those of you on our Instagram saw I literally came on and groggy and was like, look at the bags under my eyes, and talked about that. But we did some good, relevant, but counter programming. And we did do some interesting things that I think were good, complementary, relevant topics, but not so intense. So I
Absolutely.
think I'm really proud of what we did, because it is a challenge, because, you want to stay on topic to some degree.
Well, and what you really need to do in a week like this last week is focus on what you can control, right? There are things you can control, things you influence. The election is something that you influence, and things you have no control or influence. So I think a lot of us spent a lot of time dealing with stuff that we really don't have a lot of control over. So helping people make sure you focus on what you can control, I think is a good thing. We had a great week doing that. Let's see which one of our friends, by the way, is going to help us kick off this recap of what we talked about. All right. You want to start with Monday?
Yeah. So on Monday, we talked about something that was really nice a day ahead of the election, which is a bipartisan bill that could potentially, and it's not law. So, at this point, it's just being discussed and starting the process, but it's about perks and changes to the retirement rules and student loans that could be coming. And I stressed that it was bipartisan. So I think that was really nice ahead of the election. As we record this, by the way, the votes are still being counted. And I do want to say that one big takeaway from the election is that our country is divided, and that's really hard. I mean, it's going to come down to the wire. We don't know who will eventually be running the country. And so to talk about something that is bipartisan and possibly really positive for a lot of people financially, I think was a really important show. And I encourage everyone to go back and listen to it, because if this passes, and again, because it's bipartisan, there's a good shot this could be really relevant to everybody.
Yeah, the thing that I definitely like about it is because of the divisions that we saw on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we having something going through Congress that everybody agrees on, and the fact that it's retirement, right, shows you. And we've got Annette hanging out with us, and she says we have an international audience. Not all of us are American. It just goes to show that how universal saving for financial independence is. It's a universal thing. Democrats are for it. Republicans are for it. Everybody's for it. So I thought that was really cool. We'll see what ends up passing, but it appears something is likely to pass on this one, Bobby. But what do we do on Tuesday?
So Tuesday was election day, and so what we did, I was on with Grant Sabatier. Millennial Money is his website, and of course, he's the author of Financial Freedom. We talked about the fact that you should not let your feelings about the election mix with your investments. A lot of people feel like, well, if this happens, it can really mess with your head. And the truth is your investment goals should not change, and you shouldn't make knee-jerk decisions tied to this bananas election. And I think that show, especially, I mean, Grant had some really great and specific advice for people on how to approach your money. And we had an interesting sort of disagreement. I don't know. Well, I really respect his point of view. I believe in dollar cost averaging most of the time. And he really feels that you should put all of your money in sort of the minute you have it to invest, just dump it in. And there were a lot of other different perspectives that we shared. And I think it's great to listen to. I think the more ideas we have out there, the more people have choices that they can take to heart and make the decision that's best for them. And there isn't always one way. There's the best way for you.
Well, and listening to that discussion, as I was going for my morning walk the morning after, I thought that you were both right. I mean, 70% of the time the stock market goes up, so Grant's not wrong. The problem is that a lot of us can't take that roller coaster ride of what if we're on the 30%, we put it in at the wrong time. So he's correct most of the time, and also over the long term, like you guys talked about, it doesn't really matter. But to get that better ride, and everybody, it's such behavior is the game, right? And dollar cost averaging makes it easier to keep this behavior going. And, we don't get paid all this money at one time. So dollar cost averaging just makes sense for our paycheck too. I thought that was great. What'd you guys cover on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, so I did not know this when I proposed the story, but Grant is a huge fan of Warren Buffett and his approach to investing. And in fact, he's a holder of Berkshire Hathaway and has been to the meetings. And so we talked about Warren Buffett's longest held stocks. And I have to credit our audience, by the way. We did do a quiz asking them, what do you think is the number one longest position, longest holding of Warren Buffett, and they got it correct. So I was really proud of our audience. It is Coca-Cola. I'm not going to do a spoiler and tell you the rest of his long held stocks, but we did go through the list, and Grant was incredibly knowledgeable about each one. And he did something that he hasn't done before. He gave opinions on these 11 stocks about whether he thinks they will continue to be strong performers. And we also discussed the fact that while these were his longest held investments, they were not necessarily his largest positions. And just because he still owned some piece of stock doesn't mean he hadn't reduced his position. So you have to take it within that context, but it does show an evolution of how he's been thinking. Coca-Cola, as I said, was the longest holding, one of the quote more recent holdings. I think off the top of my head, I'm going to say 14 years, but I'm not 100% sure. It was something like UPS, which has been a huge beneficiary of the coronavirus because we have been sending so much more stuff. Obviously, that is not something Mr. Buffett predicted when he took the position, but it is interesting that he does seem to see the potential in the future when he does choose these stocks. And also the fact that, a lot of the companies were financial and a lot of the companies were consumer product driven, things that are going to kind of be consistent all the time. People, as we know, we think will always buy paper towels and that kind of stuff. So companies like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson were in there as well. I just thought that Grant really brought it. He really knew his stuff about these stocks and added a lot of context.
I on Tuesday, I really liked that because it was about you. It was about your portfolio and not about the things that we can't control going on watching election coverage. So I love that. And on Wednesday, Jason Harris, marketing whiz Jason Harris, and I Thursday, we continued that discussion by talking about presidents. And there was this wonderful feature piece in the New York Times about these people in Finland who every year since every president since Harry Truman, they've given these watches to. And this watch now has become the president's watch. And we talked about how important strategic gift giving can be. And also how, if you're trying to make an impression on people, how much having the right people where your thing is, like handing a watch to presidents has really made that watch something that a lot of people want to buy. And they sell these watches for up to $55,000. I mean, these are not cheap watches. So in an age where people carry around a phone to see what time it is, having a watch is interesting. And then the presidents, almost all of them universally sent back a handwritten thank you letter about it. In fact, when Richard Nixon had his watch repaired, he sent this long handwritten note about what a great watch it was and how he couldn't wait to get it back. And it's been wonderful. And he just needs to have it fixed a little bit. The value of a handwritten note, Bobby, in this age when we're all on email or texting, very, very powerful. And Jason talked about a strategy he uses where he'll do birthday cards for everybody in his company. And it takes him just a couple hours. He does it one day in January for the entire year and then just sends them out as the date kit. And I thought that was a fantastic hack to get to spread some influence and to also, increase your chance of great relationships with people around you.
Now, here's my question, Joe. You talk about influence and getting your products on the right people and having them seen. Did Jason send you a Mechanism t-shirt? And are you walking around Texarkana spreading the love and, promoting Mechanism for him?
What's funny is I should do that next time he's on, because yes, he did. He sent me a copy of his book, which is funny because I already had one. So I gifted it because it's fantastic. He sent me a t-shirt. He didn't send me a mug, but he sent me a notepad, a Mechanism notepad, which is their ad agency saying thank you for having me on the show. And it's fantastic. And of course we sent him one of these, right?
Yes.
We sent him some of that. So we're on that train. We talked about that even more though, about marketing yourself and about setting yourself apart on Friday, yesterday. And what I loved about this conversation was it's about the CEO of Etsy. And Etsy's this company that's really grown during the time of coronavirus, because on one side, people are buying things for their home office around them that they didn't think they were going to spend a lot of time in. And now it's where they're going to spend most of their time. So they're decorating and they want it to look different. So they're going to the crafty side. So they're buying stuff that's different than what they find on Amazon or Walmart or Target. And So on one side, people are buying. On the other side, more people are starting their side business on Etsy. And so marketing during this time is something the Etsy CEO says is great for them. In a time when most people are cowering and wondering how they're going to make it, the Etsy CEO is spending more money making sure that they stay front of mind. And Jason had a great point, which is that this idea in the stock market that you buy when the market's down and you get worried when it's high is the same thing when it comes to spending your influence dollars, your persuasion dollars. If you're going to have an ad campaign of any type, do it at a time when everybody else isn't doing it. And then when everybody else is really excited about that, maybe that's the time to pull back. I found that fascinating because the stock market rule also works when you're trying to influence your career, make better, decisions at work. You're trying to impress the boss more. I thought it was really universal.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, and I love the tips that he gave that really can apply to all of us. First of all, this is a time where you can sometimes have your money, get more bang for your buck, whether it's marketing your company or doing something else. A lot of companies or anywhere you're trying to buy something are offering discounts, or if you just talk to them, are willing to work with you on a price that's going to work. So your money goes further. And he also, I really think this is interesting, and this goes to psychology. If you're advertising during a downturn, he talks about the fact that this is showing your audience and your consumers, your clients, that you're strong and you're going to be around. And it shows that strength and gives that confidence, and they're more willing to do business with you. Because if you have a company that you want to sign a deal with and you're not sure they're going to be around, you may not want to give them your deposit. I know we were planning a big little party for my 13-year-old. I don't know that those companies are going to be around in a year when we finally do the rescheduled party. I think that those deposits may go bye-bye. And I said to the party planner, I said, I'm not putting down any more deposits because I don't think those companies are going to be around. So no more money is going out the door to them. So, if you are wanting to get those new clients, you have to show that you're going to be around. And that was a big takeaway, because a lot of people want to hold back on their spending and marketing right now.
Yes.
But you want to show people that you're going to be around if they give you money.
Yeah. And I love that point that Jason made, that by having a consistent message about your core thing and being out there at a time when nobody's out there proves that, hey, I'm here and I'm stable. Even if you're not that stable, it makes you look like you're more stable, and people are more likely than to open up their wallet, which makes you more stable later on. Hey, we're going to pivot here, guys, to talking about what's coming up in the next week. But before we do that, if you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you running a business is super tough. In fact, it's funny. We just got to talking about that, but you might be making it harder on yourself than necessary. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Time to upgrade to NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now's the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place instantaneously. You know what's funny, Bobby, is that when I was a financial planner, I would ask people when they would have statements all over the place and they wouldn't have it all together. It's okay to have your stuff in different places, but you need to have a dashboard, right? Have one dashboard so you have visibility and control with your money. It's the same for your business, and that's what NetSuite does. You see it all in one place instantaneously. So whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite. Join over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/MWF. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/MWF, netsuite.com/MWF. Coming up this coming week, we've got not a lot of interesting news at the beginning of the week, Bobby. We start off with a light day Monday when it comes to economic data, wholesale trade sales data. not a lot there, but some of the companies declaring earnings, I think, are going to be interesting rather, for vegetarians that want to pretend that they're carnivores. Beyond Meat is going to be declaring earnings. Cars.com, McDonald's, I think, is a bellwether. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Of course, on the other side of that, Norwegian Cruise Lines is going to declare their quarterly earnings on Monday, as will Taubman, who owns, of course, a bunch of shopping malls. Speaking of shopping, that'll be interesting. On Tuesday, the IBD Economic Optimism Report is out, and just after the election, to see if people are optimistic or not, I think is interesting. And if all the companies declaring earnings on Tuesday, Viacom, CBS, I think is the big one. Wednesday, OPEC does their monthly report. Mortgage data comes out, applications and refinances. The big companies declaring earnings are some of the interesting ones. Mastercraft Boat Holdings. Are people buying boats during this during this downturn? I don't know.
Think, well, no. Well, here's the thing. Yes and no. I mean, this is a quirky thing. No, in theory, people, this is not the time to go out and splurge on a boat. But the reality is, if you want to keep your family safe, you could go live on a big boat. I mean, no, I mean, I read an article. I don't want to say where it was because I'm not sure, but I think it was, someplace where they target the audience. It's like a section of a paper where they target, big homes and real estate and that kind of thing. Yeah. And they were talking about the fact that people were renting homes in Florida on the water so that, and they weren't that interested in the home. They needed the place to put their, you can call it a yacht, but a boat that had sleeping quarters on it, not necessarily a mega yacht, a boat that had 1 or 2 bedrooms that they could live on, because the feeling was that was a very safe place to be. And they could have some, outdoor, you could go sailing and you're out in the middle of the ocean and you don't have to deal with getting infected and worrying so much about the masks and all of that. So there's something to be said with, if, we've seen this push towards people moving in the suburbs where they're not in cities and they want to have more space. If you're going to buy a suburban house for, X $100,000, the logic is the same to buy a boat for the same.
At the very least, it's a great vacation right now, right? At the very least, it's a great vacation. But I think it also shows optimism, right? If Mastercraft beats estimates or gives guidance that things look like they're improving, that's going to be a big sign. That'll be very interesting. Another interesting company on Wednesday, new insurer Lemonade is going to declare earnings. Thursday, the Consumer Price Index. We get to take a look at inflation on Thursday. Lots of companies with earnings: Applied Materials, Agile Therapeutics, Emerson Radio, Walt Disney has earnings. And on Friday, the Producer Price Index. So we'll be able to compare those two what it costs to produce a good, and then what people are paying for it. And on Friday, not a lot of companies declaring earnings, but two big ones. DraftKings. The only reason I bring up DraftKings is because of the fact that I've heard a lot of like pro stock traders, these day traders, really focus on DraftKings quite a bit. And so DraftKings be interesting. And then JCPenney, just, you've heard the death rattle from JCPenney for a long time. Is JCPenney going to make it? That's one of those companies that you wonder about, Bobby.
Yeah, I still remember years ago, there was this huge press event that I went to cover. And the gentleman who used to run Apple. Yes. And he came out and Ellen was there and Martha Stewart was there. And it was this whole, like, we're going to change everything and we're not going to have all this sales. It just didn't work. So, but yet they keep going.
They find a way.
Keep going. So yeah. They find a way. So there you go. So I'm rooting for everybody. I think the company I'm most interested in really, I think, is Taubman, because retail has had such a hard time for so long and it's probably really bad right now. But I do wonder, if they can hold on. And this goes back to what we're talking about with Jason Harris and the, getting through the recession. If there are areas where there is, a lot of, quarantine fatigue. And certainly I do believe when we get past this, are people going to have a new appreciation for the in-person shopping experience and really want to go? And will that boost them? I don't know, but I'd be curious to see what they say about their outlook and what they're trying to do to reinvent themselves.
It's funny. I'm a guy that always rolled his eyes about people that just walk around a shopping mall for fun. Oh my God, does that sound like fun right now? That sounds like so much fun. Walking anywhere where there's a bunch of people just sounds like it would be great, but I'm not now. But but can't wait to get back to some of that. Coming up this week on Monday, Bobby and I are going to kick off the week together. We are talking about some reports that say that moving your money around, or excuse me, people aren't going to spend money until we get some clarity around the election results, which I found interesting when Bobby, when you wrote that to me last night, like, what the hell is this about? So we're going to dive into that on Monday. Who's your guest on Tuesday?
Oh, but before we do that, wait, let me just look quickly, because I think we put out a quick poll for our Benny friends about that, and I just want to see what they said. Oh, so we did ask them. And what's interesting is, so far we asked our audience on Instagram, which, by the way, if you're not following us at Money Friends Pod, do you plan on shifting your spending because of election uncertainty? And they, you know what? I'm not going to tell the results. That's a teaser for Monday's show. How's that?
Wait till Monday.
I'm going to wait.
Look at that.
I'm going to hold off. Okay.
You give it and you take it away. Nice job.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Tuesday, I will be on with Elizabeth Segran of Fast Company, and also the author of The Rocket Years, also on Wednesday. And we don't have the stories planned yet, but she tends to want to talk about fashion and retail. And so we'll see what she brings.
Thursday and Friday, I'm sure we're talking basic personal finance, because Farnoosh Torabi, financial expert and host of the So Money podcast, joins me. So those are going to be some fun personal finance days. I like the yin and yang of those days. I think that's going to be a nice week. And then, of course, we're back here with the weekend show again next Saturday. We this week decided to change it up when it came to money questions. We took a friend of ours money question. And by the way, if you've got a money question for us, where are we going to have people send those?
They can DM us on Instagram at Money Friends Pod.
Absolutely. This week, we thought that we would answer a question from the Moneyologist. We've done this from time to time, Bobby, on the Stacking Benjamin show when we have our roundtable episodes. And it's so fun to not even read what Quentin Futrell, the Moneyologist, writes, but to answer the question ourselves. And the question here is, my mother left her entire estate to my stepfather. What can I do about it? My late mother remarried in 1954. My biological father, the only father my other brothers and sisters have known, died in 2005. Found out recently my stepfather has a will and left everything to our half-sister. However, half-sister died 6 months ago, leaving behind a husband. What are your recommendations for when my stepfather dies? I'm planning on retaining a lawyer to petition the court to be named executor of his estate. And then they go into how much money, but I don't think how much money really matters. This right here is a good question. What were your first thoughts, Bobby, when you saw this?
Oh gosh. I think that this is a very common situation. We have so many blended families, and this just seems like a mess. I don't know. I was kind of stumped, I got to tell you. Yeah. It's so, is the stepfather's already passed away?
Stepfather has not passed away. No.
So I guess the first thing is to have a discussion before you go to the lawyer. I would say have a discussion.
Absolutely.
Because that's the first step. I mean, anytime you can avoid the courts, do so. And that goes with everything related to estate planning. And that's the whole idea of estate planning, is you don't want to go to probate, which is basically, a potentially very long time period of having the government decide what's going on. And you want to avoid that, and you want to retain control. So yeah, retain control before retaining a lawyer, I guess, is what I would go for. Just talk it out. And because often people get busy with life and don't always update things, and it may not be intentional.
People can sue for anything, and people can definitely sue. If this guy goes to court, he can go to court. He's going to lose, and the reason he's going to lose is that the document is the most important thing here. And if the document says that his daughter gets everything, then that's probably how it's going to go. Now, to make that ironclad, let's say that stepdad wanted to disinherit all of all of her kids. If he wanted to disinherit them, the way to do that effectively is to give them $1. If you give them $1, what that does is make sure that you thought about it. Because when this lawsuit happens, what can happen is if this guy brings a lawsuit up, he can say, listen, we're not even named in this estate. So he made this too early. Then he married my mom. And you can tell he didn't even think about it. If you give people you want to disinherit $1, it shows that you thought about it and you willfully are disinheriting them. But it does bring up this problem with blended families, Bobby. Two people get married. Mom died without a will, so everything went to stepdad. Stepdad has a will, everything goes here, and all of her kids are disinherited. Ultimately, this should have been done when she was alive, but now that it's not, I think your recommendation is right on. You have to have the discussion before he dies about this. Was at the very least, if this was part of this was my mom's money, and disinheriting all of us. What you're doing is disinheriting all of us. And I know it's a difficult conversation to have, and it makes you feel like you're money grubby, it feels dirty. But you gotta have that discussion.
It's not as dirty as going to court and having it seem so confrontational. And I think you point out also that going to court because I did not really have time to think about this in advance. This is sort of just thrown at me, but going to court is really, it's kind of like when you don't write a will, you do have a will. It's just the government's will. So you really want to avoid court at all costs. It can get very expensive. And to some degree, it is what it is. I mean, he has the money and he can do what he wants with it. And he may be very clear that he wants to give it to his heirs, to his biological heirs. And that's kind of where it is. And it is what it is.
And the bad news in most cases, Bobby, is this is an error of omission, right? Mm-hmm. It just, nobody thinks about doing their estate plan. Or they did one a long time ago, so they're not in it. So usually it's not a willful thing where somebody wants to disinherit you. So pointing that out, that hey, we don't know when we're going to pass away, and here's what's going to happen. My mom's money is going to go to your daughter, and we love our half sister, but not
right. Well, but she's passed away. That's what makes it even more complicated.
That's right.
As I understand it. And like I said, this is a very complicated question, which is why it's a great question, because these things are complicated and blended families do make this very complicated. So it's going to the biological daughter of the stepfather who has passed away, which means I guess if she had no will, it's going to go to her husband. Yeah. So, and then presumably from there, in theory, to his children.
The money then,
it's just all
the money leaves the family. It's gone. It's
well, but there's so many variables we don't know. I mean, the stepfather, we don't know the timeline of all of these things, and the stepfather could also say, well, your mother, we have no idea whether the mother earned the money or not. The stepfather could be of the mindset, well, this is my money. I was, we're presuming they're of a different generation. For all we know, he could be of the mindset that no, it's not your mother's money. It's my money. I loved your mother very much. She passed away. It's my money. I was the earner. We don't know. I'm presuming a lot, but we just don't know. And it's my money.
I think that's why you got to have the conversation. Got to have the conversation.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this week. I think that puts a cap on it. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us. If you've got a question, DM us on Instagram. Heck, you can DM us on Twitter, write us an email. However, you've got a question, Bobby and I are happy to answer it on a Saturday. Have a great weekend, everyone. She's Bobby. I'm Joe. We'll see you next time back here at Money with Friends. Bye-bye. 29.
Oh, that's long.
Long. All right.
That was a hard question. I was like, you put me on the spot there. I'm like, because all this information is coming at me, and you're like, what do you think? I'm like, that's a lot of information.
You nailed it.
I don't know about that, but people, complicated. Wow.
You nailed it. It was great.
Yeah, and I'm in a blended family, and that was a lot. That was a lot. And it's a lot of unknowns. That's the truth of it. I mean, we don't know their relationship. We don't know. So
you guys ready to do our Monday show? Let's do it. Everybody got quiet once we started talking about the week. All right,
well, this is a good topic. I think everyone's going to get very chatty again when they hear what we're talking about. And we'll be revealing the results of our poll.
Let me pull it up. I thought I had it and I don't. I just think this, well, okay.
What?
Nothing.
What?
I'll talk about it later. I'll talk
All
about it
right.
on the show. I'll talk about with the meter run.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, here we go. This is for Monday. Oh my goodness. I did the
November
NetSuite
9th.
ad for Saturday.
Wait, what?
I did the
Oh,
NetSuite ad for Saturday. It's for Monday.
well, let's do it for Monday and then we'll fix it later on.
Yes. Yep. Okay, here we go.
All right, money friends, don't feel like shopping these days? You're not alone. We're going to talk about why the close call election could put the brakes on consumer spending. It is Monday, November 9th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner Bobby Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City.
And coming to you from my mom's half-finished basement in Texarkana, Texas, where we make the Stacky Benjamin show, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy.
Here on Money with Friends, we talk about the latest personal finance headlines, add in the insights and wisdom of our fantastic cast of thought leaders. We mix in some questions and comments from our money friends and leave you with a takeaway to make it your own.
We have had an interesting week last week, Bobby, and now on Monday, hopefully things are dying down as people hear this. We're going to dive into the fallout now. You found an interesting piece about shopping and what the effect of an uncertain election means to the retail market.
Yeah, and I was very surprised because it's not a connection that I would have made on my own, but some really interesting points and some data in this piece by Quartz that we're going to be discussing. So I'm excited for this conversation.
All right, let's see which one of our friends is going to help us kick off the conversation.
All right. So the piece is actually, as I mentioned, it's from Quartz. It's by Mark Bain. And the headline is Post-Election Uncertainty is Bad for the Economy. And the piece talks about the fact that the lingering political division and this as of this recording, we are still not sure who is going to be in charge of our country. And so the piece in Quartz talks about the fact that this could, in fact, put a damper on consumer spending. And among the people that they spoke to in this piece by Mark Bain is Greg Portell. He's the lead partner in the global consumer practice of Kearney, which is a strategy and management consulting firm. And he says, in the short term, while we're waiting for the outcome, consumer spending is going to hit pause. And then the piece goes on to talk about the fact that the longer the process carries on, the longer shoppers are probably going to wait in a state of semi-paralysis. And then here's the other thing we don't really know. And so far it's been okay, but there's concern that there could be safety concerns because of the potential of civil unrest and stores closing. I know, Joe, here in New York City, a lot of stores boarded up their windows ahead of the election, which was kind of scary here walking around going, what exactly do they think is going to happen? Because it's such I just can't imagine. I hope this never comes in our country, that we're so divided that people are actually damaging stores and that there's any kind of uprising such that these stores, needed to protect themselves. The piece also references a paper that was published last month talking about the fact that Americans, really feel that they're tying the future of the economy to who wins the election. And so there's going to be this time period where whoever is finally declared to be the president, or that, when it's finally settled, they have to then process, well, how is this going to affect my economic well-being? So depending on which person is in charge, which man is in charge, that will impact how people spend. And so people are just kind of in a pause right now, waiting to see what's going to happen. In other words, if they think their taxes will be higher, maybe that will have them spending less. If they think the taxes will be lower, maybe they'll spend a little more. And so I don't know. I mean, you're skeptical about this piece and the correlations that it makes.
I think that I think it's right, but I think it's only right with the wealthiest people that are in the country or anywhere. Wealthy people tend to spend much more money when the stock market's going well, when tax rates are lower, when things are going well economically. They will buy those big major purchases, but that's not the everyday person, Bobby. The average person listening to this show has a paycheck or they don't have a paycheck, and they're not going to make they're not going to make decisions based on this uncertainty. I think that if I'm a luxury retailer, I think I'm pretty worried. I think if I'm not a luxury if I'm Target, I don't think I'm worried. I think if I'm Walmart, I'm not that worried about that. So I kind of that's number one. Number two is people doing anything with their money. And this is the part that really kind of grinds me. Even if this is right, studies show that no matter who wins the presidency, the result of that on the economy kind of overstated, right? That we've seen statistically that people will think that Democrats are going to bury the economy. Republicans things are going to go really, really well with the economy. Not true either way. Democrats don't move the needle as far left as people think it's going to. Republicans don't move it as far right as people think it's going to. We've got checks and balances that frankly make sure that doesn't happen. So people moving money around at all are making decisions that aren't based on your personal situation and are instead based on these external things, which mostly are between your ears, is garbage.
Well, one thing that is sort of touched on but not fully in this article is that he talks about the fact that both sides view the other side as dangerous, and then the risk in consumers' mind is what triggers this uncertainty. What I think has been frustrating for consumers is the gridlock, because we have such a divided government that things just don't get done. I mean, the fact that no stimulus has been done, and I talk about this all the time because people are hurting, they need to get something out. And the fact that it's not getting out because each party is digging in their heels, I think is perhaps the most frustrating thing. And I think that what will really help people feel better about the economy is if they see a government that can get things done. And if we stay so divided to the point where almost on principle, each party doesn't want to get anything, doesn't want to pass anything that might look like they gave up some ground, they're just politicians not acting in the best interest of their constituents at that point. And I just hope whatever the outcome of the election is, they can find a way to work together to get things done. And everyone agrees that there should be economic support for the everyday person in our country right now. They're just disagreeing over nitpicky things about the dollar amounts. And that's ridiculous at this point. We haven't had something since July. Come on.
Yeah, but I was going to say, Bobby, not everybody does agree, because I've had this conversation before with people that have written to me saying, I don't want any more stimulus. I don't want the government spending money that they don't have. And here's the issue with that. The issue with that statement, this is what I write back to people, is that what people largely agree on who are in government is that you're going to end up spending money either way. Either the unemployment rolls are going to be huge, and because of the way the unemployment law is right now, there's going to be lots of money helping people that don't have a job anymore, or we can work to keep the companies open. So the money is leaving the building no matter what you do. That's the frustrating part. This idea that the government won't spend any money, just the way things are now, not what's going to happen.
Well, that's an excellent point. Let me clarify what I said. I do not mean to say that every person, I might have said it that way, but I'm clarifying it. Every person in the country. What I am saying is that both the Democrats and the Republicans have said they want a stimulus plan. Okay. Yeah. They have plans out there. They can't come together and make one pass. So yes. I don't think I phrased it correctly. There's agreement among our government representatives that the government
that one should be coming
wants to have a stimulus plan. That is not saying that every individual person was. So I apologize if I stated that incorrectly. The government wants to get a plan done. And the reason they're not getting it done, from what I can tell, is because they're just digging their heels in as politicians and arguing over the number. And maybe each one is putting in little provisions that the other party doesn't want, and nothing's getting done.
So here's the question. Should you spend money based on election uncertainty, or not spend money based on election uncertainty? I'm curious what you think about that.
I mean, I think for me personally, I think live your life. Come on. But we asked, we asked our money friends, do you plan on shifting your spending because of election uncertainty? What do you think they said?
Man, I'm hoping it's like 10% or less are gonna change their spending.
You get your wish. Only 4% said
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Only 4% plan on shifting their spending because of election uncertainty. So the vast majority, as I said, just live in your life. Don't make a change. And I should say at the end of this piece, he does say that they expect shoppers to get back to spending and that both parties do have economic stimulus plans that should put more cash in consumers' pockets. And he does acknowledge the gridlock in Washington is really the issue. And it'll probably be a skinnier plan than originally imagined. But so, the government does want to do a plan. I get that individuals don't. That's I love that we have this discussion, but the government wants to have a plan and hopefully something will get done. I think that's going to be the critical thing for anyone that is holding back on spending, to just know that the government is going to step in. I think what the Fed has done during this time of coronavirus has been really important in instilling confidence in companies that they will be there as the lender of last resort, no matter what, that they're going to keep the liquidity. That's been a huge help.
Sure. In just a moment, Bobby and I are going to have our takeaways from today's piece. And one big theme about what we've talked about today is being able to see where your money is and making decisions based on your life, maybe not making decisions based on all kinds of external data that may have something to do with you, but not like the decisions that you make in your own daily life. If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough these days, but you might be making it harder on yourself than necessary. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Time to upgrade to NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now's the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place instantaneously. We talk about having a great dashboard. NetSuite makes it so that you're not driving with 15 maps out or open on your phone. You've got one. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite. Join the over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/MWF. Schedule your free product tour right now. netsuite.com/MWF. That's netsuite.com/MWF. Bobby, what's our takeaway from today's interesting discussion about election uncertainty?
Government legislation changes move very slowly. Don't get caught up in it. Just live your life based on what's going on for you right now. Make the best decisions that you can, and let's get on with our lives.
Yeah, focus on the things that you can control, not the things that you can only influence. An election you can only influence. Certainly, if you feel like because of the election and you've got some hard data, not just the stuff that's always proven wrong, where you think something's going to happen. If you've got hard data that your business is struggling, then it's time to make a change, or that your family's going to struggle. It's time to make a change. But it should be based on hard data, not based on some preconceived ideas that really not historically the numbers don't support. Bobby, if people want to help us make this program, we had a lot of help today with our Instagram poll. Thanks to everybody who helped us there. Where do people join in the fun?
You said it. Be with us on Instagram at Money Friends Pod. You can also DM us questions there if you want to have a question answered on our weekend show. We'll post stickers sometimes, but you can always just DM us, be in touch. That's also, by the way, at Money Friends Pod, our handle on Twitter. So join us there as well. And if you want to be part of the live recordings, join us on YouTube. Go to the Money with Friends YouTube channel and subscribe, set up your alerts, and it will give you a little reminder when we're going to go on.
Big thanks to the people hanging out with us today. Annette, Sandy, Victor, Kevin, all weighed in today. Chris weighed in today. Peter, Melissa, Sarah, and many more. So thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. All right. Bobby's back here tomorrow with Elizabeth Segrin from one of my favorite magazines, Fast Company Magazine. They'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be back later in the week. We'll see you later. 14.
Perfect.
Bam.
Yay. That was a good discussion.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are out of here. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for playing.